Paula, this is her third speech since she recently joined Toastmaster. And today, Paula will present a speech about becoming a game show contestant on The Price is Right. The purpose is to educate the audience on how to become a contestant, including her personal experience in going through the process and finally being picked as a contestant in the show. Let's welcome Paula Adams.
Happy Father's Day to those of you who are fathers. And I just wanted to talk tonight about a speech that would have a fun topic, and that is my experience on The Price is Right. To begin with, each and every one of you would qualify to become a contestant on The Price is Right. Now, a show of hands, how many of you have thought about possibly being a game show contestant? How many of you have actually been a game show contestant? Well, I guess I'm the only one. So to begin with, what I'd like to do is start from the beginning and explain how I had this opportunity to become a game show contestant. I met a fellow on one of the TV shows that I did. His name was Tom LaFaro, and he was an assistant director on Cheers episode. And in 1982, that's when I was primarily an actress during that period of time, and a couple of years later as well. And I got a call from Tom LaFaro on Sunday afternoon. And he said, "Paula, this is Tom." He said, "Have you ever watched The Price is Right?" And I said, "Yes, a lot." And he said, "Really?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, have you ever been on the show?" And I said, "No." "Why do you ask?" At the time, I was thinking that maybe he was talking about a model on the show. Maybe a model had quit, and there was a possibility for me to be able to go and interview for that position. And he said, "Well, the reason I ask is I have an extra ticket for The Price is Right." And he said, "I was wondering if you would be interested in being on The Price is Right." And I said, "Yes, that would be so much fun." And he said, "Great." He said, "All you have to do, are you free tomorrow?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Get there at 7 a.m. in the morning." He said, "Make sure you're there at 7 a.m. And he said, "Go to the ticket booth." And he said, "There'll be a ticket waiting for you there. All you have to do is give them my name." So I was so excited. And he said, "Oh, a few more things." I said, "What's that?" He said, "When you're interviewing with the producer, make sure you don't tell him that you're a model or you're an actress." And I said, "Okay, well, what do I tell him?" And he said, "Well, you look like you could be a flight attendant. Just tell him you're a flight attendant." And I said, "Tom, I'm not a good liar." He said, "Paula, you're an actress. Act." So I said, "I guess I could do that. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that." So I got up the next morning, and I was there. I did everything he told me to do. When I got there, got my ticket, and I was told to come back at 12:30 and to get into line. And I knew that I needed to get there a little bit before 12:30 to get a good position, because Tom had also told me that a way to make sure that the producer possibly picks you is to make sure you're the first one or close to the first one in the line. So I was about the fourth one down the row, and I was on the edge, on the corner, which was a good position, I thought. So here comes the producer with his secretary, and he walks up down the rows, and he gets to me, and he said, "Hi," and I said, "Well, hi there," and he said, "So, have you ever been on The Price is Right?" And I said, "Never." And he said, "Well, have you ever watched the show?" And I said, "It's a family name in my household." I said, "We watch it all the time." And he said, "Great." He said, "So what do you do for a living?" I said, "I'm a flight attendant." He said, "Really?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "What airlines are you with?" And I said, "American." It just kept getting better. And he said, "American Airlines." And I said, "Yes." And he said, how many years have you been with them? I said, about 6 years. And he said, where are you stationed out of? I said, LAX. And he said, really? Well, that's great. He said, well, I hope you have a good day on our show today. I said, well, I do too. So he left me, and my heart was doing this. And all of a sudden, I felt the presence of somebody in my face, and I turned, and there's this woman that had come from behind. And she said, Paula, she said, you're a flight attendant with American Airlines. And I thought, oh no. And I said, yes. And she said, out of LAX. And I said, yes. And she said, my friend Susie Q is a flight attendant with LAX. She goes, do you know her? And I said, well, the name sounds familiar. I said, you know, I'm terrible with names. I said, I'm sure I've seen her. I'm sure I've worked with her. I'll tell you what, next time I see her, I'll tell her you said hello. Okay. It just kept getting better and better. So as we were walking into the studio to get to our seats, I'm thinking all these thoughts. I've blown it. The producer knows I'm a liar. I'm a big fat liar. I thought, there's no way I'm going to get on this show. And I happened to notice that there was another Paula in line. So as I'm sitting there, and the assistant director was explaining to the audience the criteria, what you needed to do, you know, as far as the rules go. She also mentioned that Bob Barker really likes you to kiss him and to hug him when you win something. And I'm thinking, he is just not there for me. There's no way I could kiss that man or hug him. But anyway, I thought, I'm not going to even get the opportunity. So as time passed on, they started calling out the names, you know, come on down. And so all of a sudden I heard, Paula Adams, come on down. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting there looking at the camera, and I'm on the camera. But my brain is saying, that's not you, that's the other Paula, because there's no way they just picked you. And this woman next to me nudged me, and she goes, that's you? And I went, oh my gosh. So I started clapping my hands and, you know, going through the routine, and I get down there, and I was asked a price on a certain item, and I got the prize. So that encouraged me because I knew that I had a chance of maybe going for another prize. So when they asked me, as I went through the game show, and they went through all the members on the line, they asked me a price, and mine was the closest to the price, so I won a refrigerator. Oh gosh, I can't even tell you the stories. No. Anyway, so I rent a refrigerator. To make a long story short, from that point, I got the opportunity to win a speedboat. And I won a speedboat. And this whole time, I'm winning all these items. Bob Barker is looking at me, and he's just shaking his head. And he said, you flight attendants are so stuck up. And I thought, it's because I didn't kiss him and I didn't hug him. Well, at the end of the show, I had got the opportunity to be able to spin the wheel. And as I went up to spin the wheel, I was the second person to spin. It moved a half an inch. It was so heavy. I can't even believe how heavy it was. Bob Barker looked at me and he said, you are the worst spinner in the history of the show. And of course I turned all shades of red. He said, I can give you another chance. I spun it again, it went another half an inch. He said, Paula, I feel sorry for you. I'm going to give you one more chance. I went and I took it. I was so angry. I took that wheel and I spun it, and I spun 95 cents. I was elated. I knew I had won the big deal. I could go for the big deal. No. The next person to spin the wheel came out, and she had muscles like you could not believe. She grabbed that wheel. It went around several times, and it hit $1. Well, my brain told me that I had to get off my spot, but my feet wouldn't move, so the producer had to pull me off the spot. So that was the extent of my experience on The Price is Right. But in conclusion to this speech, I just wanted you all to know that enthusiasm, like I mentioned before, and desire and everything else, each and every one of you could be a contestant on The Price is Right. And it's just all about having fun.